Hey everyone, I hope you're all doing well today. This time we're going to be talking about Toxic Crusaders on the Sega Genesis. Toxic Crusaders is kind of a multi-genre beat 'em up. You have some sort of shooter stages where you're flying around on a skateboard and you can blast the enemies that way, but you need to avoid the cars. And then it gets into probably my least favorite part of any retro beat 'em up when they try to include platforming into things. There are a few playable characters in this. They're all drawn from the cartoon show, which I vaguely remember being on the air. And then when I went to do some research to figure out who these characters are, because their names are not really mentioned in the game, you have to look up who they are in the manual, which I didn't have. It only ran for one season, so yeah, it's one of those cartoons that just sort of popped up, and then I forgot about it after it just disappeared from the TV screen. Unlike every other beat 'em up that I've played, this one has a very stupid way of having you select two players and also letting you choose which character you want to play as. I mentioned earlier you can play as Toxie, No Zone, or Junkyard, but you need to go into the options where you would normally change the difficulty and change how many lives you have or how many continues you have, and then you need to select two-player from there, or you need to swap through the different characters on the options menu in order to play as someone other than Toxie. I have no idea why they thought this was a good idea, and it's just really frickin' annoying. So the characters, Toxie is from the Toxic Avenger. He's a dude who was working at I believe a fitness club or a gym or something like that, and he got knocked out of the window, landed in some toxic waste, and became Toxie. No Zone, is a pilot who ended up, I don't remember what the fuck he did, but he's basically a blue bird that's a mutant. And Junkyard is a dog. I didn't really care about their backstories all that much. Regardless of what character you choose, you're basically doing the same thing you would do in every beat 'em up, which is just beating the crap out of all the enemies on the screen and then moving along to the next screen. You do get to the platform stages, which are just more annoying than anything else, especially once the conveyor belts start up. It's just really, really annoying. I didn't have any issues with hit detection in this game, and the enemies do a pretty good job of reacting when you hit them. The only thing that really bothered me about this game was the platforming. It didn't need to exist in this game. It's just way too annoying, doesn't need to be there, and just is pretty awful. It has a pretty standard story where you're just trying to save Toxie's girlfriend, and everything just kind of feels random. Like you go from a forest to a spaceship to a factory. Things just kind of happen in this, which might work for the movies and the cartoon, but it doesn't really work too well for a video game like this. Overall, I honestly like the game. I think it's kind of fun, but there's some bullshit with it that I just find really annoying. Like trying to figure out how to get two players on the same screen, or trying to, get through the platforming stages, or dealing with some of the cheap deaths from those platforming stages where enemies just pop up and hit you and then knock you off. It's not anything that one part where you get knocked off into pits, that's not something that's unique to this game. It doesn't mean that it's any better here. It does have kind of a charm to it because it looks really goofy and different, but I think I would rather be playing a different beat 'em up. The graphics really are the best part of this game. Well, I do enjoy walking around and beating the crap out of people with a mop or punching them or whatever. This is really the best part of everything, but it also creates its own issues as well. So the story's the same regardless of what character you choose, and there's no cutscenes that take you from one level to the next. You just get these screens with a wall of text, and then whoever you're playing as has their head sort of hanging there in the yellow slime or whatever it's supposed to be. That is the bad side of the graphics. The good side of the graphics is everything else, where you're walking around as one of these characters, and it looks pretty cool. It's pretty colorful. It's fun to look at. It looks like you're playing a cartoon where you're just beating the crap out of people. However, the downside to all of that is when you get further on in the levels and things just stop making sense, like the arrows start telling you need to go up when you don't really need to go up, or you have a whole bunch of shit in the foreground that's blocking your visibility, or when you're on the stupid conveyor belts and you're getting sucked to the edge of the screen, and enemies pop out and hit you. That's the downside of the graphics, along with the stupid lack of cutscenes and the wall of text that you get. But overall, I do like everything else, like the way the characters look, the actual screens that you're fighting on. Those all look good, but then you just get some weird stuff, much like the gameplay. The more I played this game, the more problems I found. I like the gameplay, but that's because I like beat-em-ups. I like the idea of going around beating the crap out of people with, a mop or just your fists. And you're taking on a bunch of kind of cool characters in this. So you're fighting a bunch of people with hazmat suits. Or you're fighting a helicopter, and then you can eventually ride around in the helicopter and shoot things. That's kind of fun. But there are just a lot of other issues with some parts of the gameplay and some of the graphics. It takes what could have been a really fun game, and it just sort of bogs it down with crap that didn't need to be there, or stuff that isn't quite as good as it could have been. I don't think this is a terrible game. It is kind of what I would expect from a beat 'em up, but there are certain things in it that just aren't really that great. So it's not really a good game, but it's not a bad game. It's one of those that's just kind of a little bit below average. Anyway, that's going to wrap things up. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and I will talk to you all later. Bye.